Hey everybody, I'm going to talk you through this data spreadsheet to give you some pointers so as you continue to add data, we'll kind of give you the background to the whys and the exact details for how to put data in. So the first thing you'll notice is over here is an example of what you're going to start with. So in column A, you're going to put either the word days, and you'll note this note here says you could change this to say sessions, calendar dates, whatever you want to say, but it should most likely say days or sessions. In column B, you're going to put your baseline data. So you can either use the word baseline or you can say what you're actually recording. So in this case, we're looking at off-task behavior. You'll note that in this column, you're going to start recording your the days. So we've got the first 4 days of data here, or the first 4 sessions. And then over in the column B, you're going to actually just record what that was. So on the first day, we had 12 instances of what was defined as off-task behavior. In day 2, we had 7 instances. And you'll record this data down. Now, if I had a 5th day of data, I'm going to move this little piece of information down a little bit. Oops. You would record this 5th day of data and write your data in that box. I'm not going to do that because I have my lovely red box there, but you would just keep going down. If you scoot over here to these columns G through I, this is an example that shows much more data recorded, including some intervention data. So you'll notice in this case I use the word sessions, and we've had 22 sessions total. In baseline, we had 8 total sessions, and these sessions might have been consecutive days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or it could have been that I took data on Monday and Wednesday and Friday, and then Tuesday and Thursday and Friday. So depending on how you put your information here, we've just numbered them, or you could actually put in the calendar dates, that's fine too. But when you have just regular breaks in data, like you were only planning to record 3 times a week, you would keep putting your data down in order without any breaks. And the reason for doing that this way is when you graph this data, you don't want your graph to have breaks in between the numbers. So baseline data will always stay in column H, and the reason for that is this. When we turn it into a graph, the data in this column will be one color, the data in this column will be another color. So that helps you to visually analyze the data. So the baseline data, we stopped taking data in session 8, and in session 9 we started intervention. So you need to move over to another column. So that's why we're over here in column I with intervention data, and we did intervention from sessions 9 to 15. Then in session 16, we went back and took some baseline data for 3 sessions and then went back to our intervention. So this is an A-B design, or a reversal design, a very common design in ABA. If I was going to add another intervention, I would put that other intervention in column J. So maybe instead of going back to baseline, maybe I tried a 3rd intervention, then that data would be here. But just make sure when you're charting your data, graphing your data, there are no breaks in between the rows, that data flows. And we'll go ahead and get a feel for why we did that. I'm going to highlight the data. Note that I'm only highlighting the actual data, not the sessions. If I highlight the sessions, then it will graph that also, and it will make your chart unusable. So we always want to use a line graph. So you're going to click on this, and depending on, right now you'll see that it's only given us from 0 to 20. So you can change those numbers by going to customization. You can also add descriptors on both the X and the Y axis. You can also name your graph. So I'm going to name this one off-task behavior, and it will insert that information. You can add other pieces of information there, but what I wanted you to see here is that, let's scoot this over just a little bit, that the baseline data is recorded in blue, the intervention data here is recorded in red. We went back to baseline, it's blue, and it was that way because it was all in this same column, and then the final intervention data is in red, and it makes for much easier visual analysis, which is how we look at data in applied behavior analysis. So I am going to take this chart and I'm going to scoot it over so it's off of this information, so that when you are looking at it and reviewing it later, you can go over and see this whole graph. If you've got any questions, feel free to check with your instructor. We're always happy to help. Make sure that you have labeled down here, this is the first tab and it's the actual data. And then in the instructions for the module, we've asked you also to make a second tab and add the module questions. You'll note right here this plus, this is how you add a sheet. So I can click on this plus and add a third sheet, and when I click on it, I can rename it extra info, and you can keep adding more and more tabs across. So if you're collecting data across numerous settings, you can have all that data in your display chart. So my first tab is right here. Don't forget to make sure you've named your graph. And over here is the share button. You always need to click the share button, and you always want to make sure that anyone that has the link can view it. You don't want people to be able to edit it, but you do want them to be able to view it. And here's the link right here. You can also use this Get Shareable Link button, and it will give you the link if it's not showing up. Sometimes when you first see this box, you won't see this piece of information, so you'll need to click on this Get Shareable Link. This is the live link you need to copy. I'm going to click Done because I've got my link, and I'm going to insert that into your document so that you'll have that to look at also. Have a great day of data collection.